Okay, I need to bag up a lot of artifacts that I got on loan from my friend Dusty. Might as well get them on film before I bag them up. I'm going to put them in small bags individually because right now they're all together. I think they'll fit in these smaller bags. Yeah. All right, so this one here is labeled Castroville. These are Texas points made from Texas cherts. Okay, it's a private collection, and all of these are going to be broken. I don't think any of these are whole points. All right, but they're good study pieces even when they're broken. Like you can tell that this had some impact damage of some sort. All right, so the interesting thing, I hope the lighting is okay. I have one lamp here so it'll cast shadows so you can kind of see the flaking better. You can see how they favor one side on this one with the notches. You know, they're either pressure flaking or punch flaking in one direction mainly, because you can see it's offset inside the bottom of the notch. It's not perfectly centered, but that's nitpicky stuff. I'm going to be showing the edge quality. This is a finished edge, and you can see they didn't care too much about perfect edge quality. Now that may be damaged, but I don't think so. I think sometimes they didn't care too much about the edge quality. But you know, it could be that that's just damage from some sort of impact or wear of some sort. Okay, very deep notch, but you can see there's a lot of skill involved in making a notch like that, but for some reason everything else is a little crude. All right, I'm going to be going through these kind of quickly. That was just the first one of many. Okay, so I'm looking through the viewfinder so I can make sure that you guys can see. See, there's no crushing at the bottom of the notch. This one's kind of thin. You know, there's differences in thicknesses, even though they have similar sizes. Yeah, I'm not going to go through each one and explain why they're damaged, or if they look like they've been reused after the damage or not. Sometimes points are reused for other things after they're damaged. These are actual artifacts, okay? In case you missed it, these are actual artifacts, and you can see the edge quality is kind of wonky. Just so you know. And the bottom of the notches are not perfect. You know, they've got step fracturing going on and stuff. I probably already showed this on another video, or these, but it's time to break them out again just so you can see. A lot of people have not seen real artifacts or how wonky the edges are on the real ones, at least here in Texas. All right, it doesn't feel sharp, and it's pretty wonky. Might have been broken in manufacture, but I doubt it. There's a lot of skill in thinning it, but sharpening it didn't seem to be too much of a consideration, or making it even. That looks like impact damage. It's a Burin type flake on that side, and a lot of damage on this other side. This one's very damaged. See, this it's not sharp. It's just jagged. And I think these were projectile points. And they do look like knives as well. This one has heat pops after the fact, so it looks like it was damaged by fire after it was made. This edge quality is a little bit better. And it could be due to the type of stone as well. I can't tell if these are heat treats or not. To me, everything looks slightly heat treated. Lightly heat treated or slightly. This one is almost complete, right? Except I think it was broken in manufacture while they were notching it. But see how they did the tip last on this one? The edges are still kind of wonky. Big flakes removed from the edges. They look like percussion flakes. It looks like it's still in that stage where they haven't done the edge work yet, and they just blew out one of the barbs while notching it. This almost looks like one of the Georgia churts with the little pocket of quartzite. But yeah, it's a Texas chert, high grade stuff, especially up in this area. But there's a little bit of the cortex still on the tip, so you know it's not finished. Should I get the tape measure? Let's see. Come on. All right. Let's see. This is a fit. This is 3 1/8, and it's probably still going to lose some length. Yeah, this looks like a Marshall, actually, not a Castroville, but you know, I'm not going to be picky. I'm just going to bag these all up, and this edge is pretty good. It's a little bit sharp, but not much. The bottom of the notches are not perfect. All right, I'm not going to comment on every one of these. The depth of the notch is, what is it, 5/8 from the bottom of the stem, almost 5/8. They are not that deep, but it requires a lot of skill to make them like that, because they're using antler, some sort of pressure flaker or punches. The depth on this, 1/2 inch, and it's a clean pop out at the end. It's not stalled. All right, I hope you can see. Yeah, I can probably show them better by not explaining. Translucency. Yeah, it says Castroville on the sticker. You can see that, you know, they didn't pay too much attention to symmetry. It's thicker there than it is on that side. Of course, it's chipped off, but it's still thicker. There's a ding there, but it's still thicker than that side. And this side over here bulges, and this side's flat. So the points were not well balanced. Some have large or long thinning flakes, and the other side nothing, just pressure. So that makes the stem bulgy on this side and flat on that side. That means you have to have a square bottom notch. Let's see. Do I have one available? Okay. Got a square bottom notch available. So you can see how the bottom touches one side of the notch. If it's U-shaped, all right, it's going to be a little off center. To seat that at the bottom of the U means that the point itself is going to sit that way, you know, that way, slightly. But if you have a square bottom notch, you can put the center line of the point directly in the center line of the foreshaft, because you have room to move this down here. So these are not symmetrical. Yeah, flat on one side and bulgy on the other. Most modern knappers consider that a no-no. Like 99% of them consider that's a no-no when it's got an uneven or unsymmetrical stem. But they didn't care back in the day. So if you're not making them like this, you're not making them like they used to make them. Okay, if you're making them perfectly symmetrical, you're not making them like they used to make them. All right, it's scooped out here and bulgy on that side. I don't know how many times I need to say it. Most people just ignore that. I tell them the stems are not made evenly or well balanced. They don't pay attention to that. Modern knappers don't pay attention. They want them perfectly symmetrical. Like this one's pretty good as far as symmetry goes, but it might not be a Castroville. It might be a different style. This one can fit in a, you know, U bottom notch pretty easily as long as the blade's lined up. But we don't have the blade. I consider this the most important part though. At least we have the bases. This is almost complete. Again, it looks like it's broken in manufacture and the tip's not finished. And the edge is not sharpened. It's just still a little bit wonky. It looks like percussion. Percussion scooped that out right there. It could be a big old pressure flake, but it looks like percussion. To me, anyway. Stem flat on this side, bulgy on that side. Heat damage after the fact. Some more heat damage after the fact. Serious heat damage. Let's see how the notch, the bottom of that notch on this one. Yeah, it's a nice pop outs, no stalling. That's what amazes me on most of these. The bottoms of the notches are not stalled out. That one looks like it might be. Sort of. Yeah, I'm going to bag these up individually so they're not rubbing up against each other. Now this one broke during manufacture they didn't get very far with the notching. I think they were going to start right there. That notch on this side is stalled. Again, the stem is fat on this side and flat on that side. Bulgy here, but not bulgy there. And it doesn't fit in my foreshaft, so I would tend to think these fatter ones are knives. I wouldn't want to have anything larger than this on an atlatl dart. But it might not be. I mean, it's not finished. The stem might not be finished either. I might take some more thinning flakes or something to thin that down. Yep. Heat pop. This does not look like a Texas chert. It looks more like a Louisiana chert. But yeah, definitely heat popped. It almost looks like Horse Creek. He treated Horse Creek stuff. Smaller versions. They range in size. Alright. They're all apparently Castroville, but they range in size. Some are thin, some are bulky. It tells me that some of them were knives and some of them were projectile points. I would say the smaller ones are projectile points, but I probably just generalizing, and when you generalize you usually get it wrong, so you probably wrong. I don't know. No way to know. This edge is thin, but it feels like it's not sharpened. It's dull, but it's thin. Lots of dings on this one. But skilled knapping, no step fracturing in the middle. Yeah, this kind of work looks like it's done on a heat treat. It's very difficult to do this with antler on a raw piece of chert like this. But they could have been using a punch, so I don't know. Might be easy peasy. Do you see the irregular edges? They're not nice and sharpened, you know, not carefully anyway. And not, I mean, they can't all be unfinished, you know, not sharpened. This one looks kind of sharp, but even so, it's not that well made as far as edge work. Surface work, they avoided step fractures, but on the edge, they did not avoid the wonkiness. That edge looks pretty good. It's still, this one actually is sharp. But the other side, yeah, the other side is sharp too, right up on the top there. Nice big one. This has a tip intact. And you can tell this is still in the process of being manufactured when they blew out the notch or whatever they did. So that's, if they're blowing out these notches, that's heavy duty punch work. Yeah. That's pretty thick. So that looks to me like punch work. Heavy duty punch work. Heavy enough to blow out that whole side. And everything else, these look like percussion strikes. Percussion punch work and percussion strikes on the edges. Now, is it ground down in between? You would think it'd be ground down, but it's not. It's not ground down. If it is, it's very slight. The point has been worked quite well. It looks like pressure flaking. So they did the point first before the rest of the edge. Yeah. That's a pretty deep notch too. But the edge is all wonky. Alright. Of course it's not finished. Yeah, lots of dings on that one. Most of these look like high-grade cherts. I don't see any that are low-grade as far as the chert. This one looks like kind of a tough low-grade chert, though. This one here does. There's some crunching going on there. But most of this stuff looks like it's high-grade. This one does not look like it's high-grade chert, though. And you can tell they had some trouble with it. I don't know what they were doing with this one. Resharpening it. Anyway, most of these look like high-grade cherts. And even with the high-grade stuff, they didn't make the edges nice. Alright, let's see. I don't have one of my points made to show so I can show the difference. Yeah, the inside of the notch is just as sharp as the edge out here. So that's probably the same with all of them. Inside the notch right there on the stem is just as sharp as the edge of the blade. There appears to be no grinding inside the notch. Yeah. Yeah, sharp on the inside of the notch and just as sharp on these two edges. That edge and this edge in here. This edge back here is sharp too. So there's no grinding anywhere. The base, I don't think so, although, I don't know. It all feels the same, like the same sharpness all the way around. Everything's the same. There seems to be no special treatment on the edges compared to everywhere else. Yeah, seems to be no special edge treatment. Everything is the same. This one does feel a little bit dull down here, but so does that. Yeah, still feels a little dull. actually is sharper inside the notch than it is here or here. This, it feels like there might be slight wear on some of these bases. And it feels like some wear right here on this one. If I were to go through each one of these, it seems like the inside of the notches are the sharpest part of the points. So far, if I touch the inside of the notch, it feels really sharp. But if I touch the edge, not sharp at all. This one is right here though. This edge is good quality. Yeah, this particular edge right there is good. Yeah. All right. So that's it for that box or that bag. I'm going to bag those up and I'll bring out the next one in the next video.